Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today's video is going to be a pretty short video, to be honest. We've just got a 2-card BGS return to go through. Now this is the kind of video you never really want to make because it's very much going to be a negative video about the whole experience with BGS. I haven't had any good returns from BGS in quite some time, but this return, just in terms of the overall experience, has got to be the worst for sure. So, like I said, there are 2 cards in this return. There's one card that I sent fresh, and then the other card was actually a review of a card that I already had graded. So the story behind this card, this is the faded twin-headed Thunder Dragon, which I got back in my previous BGS return. Now, if you guys watched that video, it got a BGS 6 with a 5 on surface, just for the fact that it's faded. The card itself is like super clean, pack fresh. So I was pretty disappointed with that, considering that they, like up to that point, in the last couple of years, had been grading all my faded cards fairly. So I decided to reach out, see if I could get anywhere with them. And at first I didn't get anything, but then after that they were actually asking if I could send them some more cards, like literally asking me to sub cards to them. And I basically said, I'm not going to send any cards unless you correct the error on this twin-headed Thunder Dragon. And to be honest, I didn't expect to get anywhere with that strategy. But to my surprise, they actually said, okay, we can see that we didn't label it as a faded card, so you can send that back with your next express submission, and we'll correct the error free of charge, regrade the card at no extra cost to you. So I actually thought that was awesome from them. I was very surprised because I've never had anything like that from them before. But obviously, I was very happy that they would be correcting the grade without charging me anything extra. Because otherwise I wasn't really going to resubmit this card, being just a regular super rare from MRD. It's just not worth it for $150 a card, which I believe is still the cheapest option they have publicly available, is Express. So I sent this back. Obviously before it had 3 9/5s and a 5 on surface. So I figured, since they acknowledged the error with the fading, and the card doesn't have any other issues at all on the surface in terms of scratching or dents or anything like that. It's a clean card, both sides, that it would get hopefully a 9/5 overall. I mean, I figured at least a 9 though, considering the other 3 subgrades are all already 9.5s. So the grade we got on the twin-headed Thunder Dragon, which was reviewed for free, was actually a BGS 7. So this was a BGS 6 before it had a 5 on surface. And honestly, it just feels like a punch in the face to tell me they're going to regrade the card, go through the whole farce of like sending them the card to get reviewed, and then all they do is bump the surface to a 6 so that it gets a BGS 7 overall. Now, obviously at this point I'm just going to crack the card. I mean, in no way is this a 6 on surface. It just feels like they, after saying that they would acknowledge their mistakes so that I would send them some more cards, they basically then just went right back on that, and they weren't willing to acknowledge any kind of significant error in the grading process at all, so they just changed it by 1. So yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing for sure. That's the first card in the return. The second card, like I said, was a fresh submission. This card hadn't been submitted to BGS previously. It's a Goblin attack force from Pharaoh's Servant. And the reason I sent this one to BGS, it's an extremely nostalgic card for me. This is easily the most nostalgic card from Pharaoh's Servant for me personally, just because I pulled a couple of them back when it came out in 2002. And so there's just a lot of memories attached with it. But more specifically, I chose to send this to BGS because I thought it could get a pristine 10. I thought it was incredibly clean. Centering is basically, as good as you can get for an old school Yu-Gi-Oh card. The back doesn't have any kind of whitening or scratches or waxing or really anything. This is one of the cleanest old school Yu-Gi-Oh hollows that I've owned. So realistically, honestly, I was hoping for a pristine. I wouldn't say I was expecting a pristine because I've sent a lot of submissions to BGS over the years at this point. I've still literally only had 1 pristine grade ever. So even when the card is clean, it's just realistically I just expect some kind of strong 9/5 rather than a pristine. But the grade we got on this Goblin attack force was a long way off a pristine, let's put it that way. We got a gem mint grade, we got a 9/5, but it's just a basic 9/5, so 0-10 subgrades, despite the card being so clean, and even a 9 on edges, which I just cannot understand the 9 on edges whatsoever. Even if it was a 9.5 on edges, I'd feel like it was kind of harsh. But as a 9, it's just, there's no justification for that, in my opinion. The card doesn't have, any whitening, it doesn't have any raised parts to the edges. Everything just checks out completely right with it. So again, it's just very disappointing. You spend $150 grading a card, which, has a pretty low raw value relative to that. Obviously hoping for a good grade. And, in a way you could say a 9.5 is not a bad grade, but relative to how clean the card is, it's just really not good enough. So this card I will crack. I will send it, to PSA realistically. Should get a 10 there without any problem, I assume. But yeah, it's just unfortunate to spend $150 and get something like that, especially when it's accompanied by the twin-headed Thunder Dragon that we already went through, which was just insane to me that they bumped that card from a 6 and just gave it the 7, which implies that it would have like a crease or a big dent or something like that, considering that they've now said that the fading isn't the reason it's getting a low grade. So yeah, I mean, overall, very disappointing experience. I'm sure there's still ups and downs with Beckett, and I've just been kind of, unlucky recently that all my subs have gone badly. But yeah, realistically, if I'm getting subs like this back, I have no plans to send to BGS in the near future. I really can't recommend it to anyone else as well, because, value-wise, you usually get less than PSA unless you manage to get an extremely high, 9.5 or pristine, which is a lot harder than a PSA 10. Handling wise, they've damaged a fair few of my cards recently, which is the same for PSA. There's no real difference there, but it's also not an advantage to go with BGS. And at the end of the day, they're more expensive. The cheapest BGS surface is $150, whereas a PSA you can send regular for $100. So yeah, there's really just very little motivation to send cards to BGS right now in the current circumstances. It's unfortunate because I prefer the cards, I prefer the slabs rather, and the grading scale and everything like that. In terms of what I enjoy owning in my collection more, I would always enjoy a strong 9.5 more than a PSA 10. And then obviously BGS 10 is even better than that, but you don't really get any of those submitting to BGS these days, unfortunately. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today's video, guys. Just a 2-card return, and I did kind of go back and forth in my mind whether I would even make a return video or just, leave it as is. But I figured it would be worth putting the word out there, just, showing this experience, kind of how badly it was handled by BGS with the whole review and everything like that. Just to make other people aware, if they're making that choice of do they grade their cards and where do they send them, there's a lot of things that can go wrong sending to BGS at the moment. So yeah, with that being said, that's everything there was to say in this video. So this is Schlost signing out, and I hope you guys all have a great day.